Nerf herders, listen up! Welcome back to the Captain's Commentaries. I'm Captain Xavier, and these are my commentaries. And as it has been requested quite a few times that I explain the rules of TitanBall, that is what I'm going to do today. We ran TitanBall at Oricon this weekend, and it was, as it always is, very popular and very successful. So, TitanBall, as I describe it when people ask me what it is basically soccer, but instead of kicking a ball around, you fire a bazooka, and all the players get guns, which makes it much more exciting. So, as the name would suggest, we play it using Titans. Now, we're able to do that because I have acquired a lot of Titans and a lot of Titan missiles. They are hard to get a hold of, but I do have a tutorial on how to make your own, and then there is a file on Thingiverse that will allow you to print an adapter for your Titan that will allow you to fire standard pool noodles. You could also just as easily use Demolisher rockets or XPZ rockets, though Titan rockets make it much more fun, but obviously, Titans and Titan rockets are not readily available, whereas things that fire Demolisher rockets are. So, whatever you need to be able to play it, go ahead. There is no TitanBall league. There is no one that's going to tell you you're doing it wrong. There is no one that's going to show up and shut down your game because you're using Demolisher rockets instead of Titan rockets. It's all about having fun. But we use Titan rockets because we have them. Now, the field setup is fairly simple. You have two sides for each team, and they both have a goal of some kind. We use cones set up in a square. You can use whatever you want. You could have it be a specific tree that you have to hit, or a building that you have to hit, or a goal that you have to shoot through, or a bucket you have to fire into, or a series of hula hoops and you have to land it inside any one of them. Whatever you want as your goal system is up to you, but it needs to be something that you can fire at with a rocket and potentially hit or land inside of, or what have you. For our rules, like I said, we use 8 cones to create a square, and the rocket must stop inside the square. If it hits in and bounces out, it doesn't count. If it lands short and bounces in, it does count. But it has to stop inside the goal. Now, if you're using a target, then it just has to hit it. If it hits it, then you're good. The way we also play is that once a Titan rocket has been used to score, it is taken out of play. There's generally a bucket of some kind near the goal, and you put the rocket in the bucket once it's been used, and you can't use it anymore. So eventually you start running low on rockets. Whoever gets to the predetermined number of points first wins. There is then also a respawn point for each team that should be a fair distance away from the goal so that you don't have too much goaltending going on of people spawning immediately next to their goal. So that is how we do that. Respawn is whatever you guys decide you want your respawn to be. Sometimes we do 10 seconds, sometimes we do 30 seconds, sometimes we do 30-second rolling respawns where every 30 seconds everybody who's out comes back in no matter how long they've been out. So the first person to get there starts counting, and when they get to 30, everybody who showed up while they were counting their 30 comes back in. So you might have gotten hit, got there when they were at 29, and you're right back in again. It's up to you. However you determine you want to do your respawns, whatever time you want, entirely up to you. The Titans and the rockets are then spread out randomly around the field. So you got the missiles. Generally, you're not really trying to hide them. They're just scattered about, so you have to gather them up first. You can move a launcher whenever you want, but you can only move one of the rockets if you are carrying one of the launchers. So you cannot simply run around and gather up all of the rockets and hoard them at your base. You have to first gather launchers. Now, once you have the launchers, you can go through and you can gather up the rockets and bring them back, but you can only carry one rocket per launcher. So if you grab 2 launchers, you can then grab 2 rockets. But if you're only carrying 1 launcher, you can only move 1 rocket. And it should be loaded, though we generally don't throw too much of a fit about somebody just grabbing it and loading it as they go. That's perfectly legitimate. But you can then stockpile a series of loaded launchers or launchers and rockets back at your base, but they have to be moved together. You cannot simply pick up all of the rockets. The goal is then, of course, to go forth and fire it. If you get tagged while you are carrying a launcher or a rocket and launcher, you must drop them. So you cannot carry launchers or rockets when you've been stunned on your way back to respawn. Now, if you're using something like Demolisher rockets, there's a possibility that people's primary blasters are going to have the ability to fire those rockets. Either they're using a demolisher or they're using something that has the ability to fire demolisher rockets. And it's really kind of up to you whether you want to make them drop those. This is why we use Titans, because I'm pretty much the only person with a blaster capable of firing Titans, and I don't use it in wars. So it hasn't really come up. People have asked, can they bring their own Titan to the battle? And I've always said, yes, which means you get to start with one, but you still have to drop it if you get tagged. Just, you know, so that you don't have just a whole bunch of people show up with demolishers just so that they never have to drop them. Generally speaking, I would say you shouldn't bring your own launcher. That's kind of the point of them being spread out around the field. And then, like I said, it goes until one team has the required number of points. And it's generally a good idea to have more rockets and launchers than necessary. So when we first started playing, I had 5 rockets and 5 launchers, and we played first to 3 points, which became a problem when you got to both sides having 2 points, because it meant there was 1 rocket still available, and everybody was focusing on it, and nobody could get that final point. So it took like 20 minutes for the 2 teams to get 2-2, and then an hour and a half for them to get that last point. Nobody really cared. Everyone was having an absolute blast, and they loved it, but it did mean we weren't able to play some of the other scenarios that we had planned for that day. So now we generally play with something like 9 rockets on the field and you're playing first to 3 points, or 8 rockets on the field and you're playing the first to 3. So there's more than enough rockets to go around. And having more rockets than launchers isn't really a problem, unless you really have a shortage. Now, there's nothing to say you couldn't play this with only 1 rocket and only 1 launcher and just reuse the launcher or reset the field between each point. Again, nobody's going to tell you how you have to run TitanBall at your wars unless we actually make it into an official league, which I'm working on. I'd like to make it an official game type for the Blaster Tag Association, at which point, if you were playing it as an official league event, you would have to follow the official TitanBall rules. But if it's your Nerf war where you're just showing up in a park and playing, however you want to play it, whatever variants you want to use, go right ahead. I'm not going to tell you that you're playing wrong. Because that's not how it works. I will have the link to the video on how to make the rockets that I designed, and as well as the link to the Thingiverse part to rebarrel your Titans to fire Pool Noodle. They'll be down in the description, of course. So check that out if you want to start building your own arsenal for this, because Titan rockets are hard to get a hold of, and it's really a much better game if you can use Titan rockets than Demolisher rockets, because Titan rockets are big and awkward, and it just adds more complexity and interest to the game. So check that out. That's how we play TitanBall up here in the Pacific Northwest. Let me know if you guys adapt it to your local settings, because of what equipment you have or what preferences you guys have. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, concerns. Put that kind of stuff down in the comment section. And as always, thank you guys for watching.